Welcome to the equipment networking checkout. You can see we have basically one of each instrument that we have purchased over the last year out on our bench because there might be problems, and we did find problems. Let me explain what happened. Last week I was trying to write the initial drivers for the Siglent SD 2204X, and one thing I found is I could ping the scope, but I could not telnet into it to actually use the Skippy functions over Ethernet. And it took me a long time, because usually when you can ping something but not telnet into it, it's usually a firewall problem, and I spent the better part of a day trying to figure out why my firewall allowances that I allowed for didn't allow me to connect to the scope's Ethernet, or its Skippy server, its socket functions. So then what I did is I put this little guy in, and everything worked. So I'm like, oh crap, is Siglent going to start screwing me over with stuff that doesn't work reliably? I mean, I don't have time to waste. So what I did is I put everybody up, one big lineup, police lineup. Sorry, I just crashed into the furniture behind me. And we went down every single one, and let me give you the rundown. Over here is the Agilent Precision DMM. It had no problems, both pinging and logging in through Telnet. The Siglent 5.5 digit multimeter did have a problem. It would not let me ping it or log in, but I did update the firmware to the latest version, and now I can log in. Now, one of the weird idiosyncrasies with this stuff is that Siglent doesn't seem to have a consistent user interface. For example, let me go to firmware update. Okay, you can see this menu here. It says internal, external. So I follow the online directions and I hit browse, and then it allows me to see the external memory over here. So then I go down, and then I go browse or select, and it doesn't show me anything. It says it's supposed to give me a list of files in there. And so I would hit the browse button over here to try to see if that would allow me to browse. That didn't work. And so I just spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out why it wouldn't let me update. Eventually I realized that once I go into here, I have to go down a level. Oh, I have to go lower directory. Then I can see, and then I put the thing in a directory called here dummy. And then I have to go down a level again, and then I can finally see the file. Okay, so I actually have to go and this actually worked better than the previous version. This is an updated version. In the updated version, this came up blank until I hit down level again. So they kind of fixed it a little bit in this later version. So needless to say, the user interface for the Siglent stuff, the front panel interface is a little quirky. And also it's quirky between items that are the same. Like here is a mid-range SDG 2122 arbitrary function generator, and here's the higher version. This has a well-working user interface. It's got all the same buttons. I'm going to switch you over real quick. Same buttons. Why isn't the user interface exactly the same? I don't know. But this interface is a little quirky when trying to input the IP address. But anyway, this guy worked as far as being able to, after I updated the multimeter, this works. I can now log in, and I can now telnet in. I can ping and I can log in. This guy, there is a software update, but it already works. I can ping and log in. Here's the scope that caused it all. This is the one I can only ping, but I can't log into. This high-end arbitrary function generator seems to work the best of all the things as far as controls, but it's a very new piece of equipment, so I'm assuming that Siglent is getting better at producing software as time goes on. And the high-end scope worked fine as far as pinging and logging in, and also its user interface seems to be a little bit more mature. The thing that biggest problem right now is both types of power supplies. I have the Siglent 3 power supply and the single power supply. I'm going to make a separate video on why this is very cool. Basically, it turns out in the video that I did when I was evaluating the 3 output power supply, I didn't understand the current limit mode. It turns out the current limit mode makes this guy act like a constant current source. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And so that would be great for using this to pulse coils and stuff for magnetic field generation. But this guy only can do 3 amps on any of its output. So I bought the little one, because the little one can do 8 amps at 16 volts. And it's got a sense output. See the plus S and the minus S, which allows it to be used in a more precision manner. Okay, but the problem with these, I can neither ping these, nor can I log into these. And that's, there is software upgrades for this one, but I can't do the software upgrade like the other guys where I can just put a software key on there and upload it. This one I have to put other software on my PC and use the USB port to put the new software on. A pain in the neck, it's not going to happen this weekend. In any event, Siglent's going to get some emails from me because I do need to be able to use this equipment over the Ethernet. And if they're going to have to do some new software releases if these guys can't, with the existing software, be controlled over the Ethernet. Otherwise, I'm going to start returning this because I need the Ethernet. That's very important for us going forward. Anyway, that's where we are right now. I'm sorry we had to waste time on this, but we need this equipment working the way it is, that it's advertised, so that we can use this equipment in such a way to make very high-end experiments. Like, for example, in one experiment, we're going to use the function generator on the left and the scope. The function generator will be exciting a very sensitive type transistor circuit, and the scope will be monitoring it. And the computer is going to read back the scope to change the arbitrary function generator to keep linearizing the circuit. And we're going to be able to make very precise inductor measurements that no one has ever been able to make before. And I wanted to use the Siglent because it's reasonably inexpensive. And if the software I'm writing for, I'm going to keep very easy to put on any PC. And that way a lot of people can share and do this experiment and see that, I'm not full of crap. Now, the interesting thing is a lot of scopes also come with their own built-in arbitrary function generator, as does the high-end, except theirs isn't built in. They give you a little add-on pod that uses up one of the USB ports. Okay, but, for the cost of that arbitrary waveform generator, it's not really good as far as performance, and for what you're paying for it. For a few $100s more, I'm getting the high-end arbitrary function generator. I mean, assuming it works. I haven't gone through all these to check if all their Skippy commands. That's one of the other things I got to do. That's what I believe the next nightmare is when I start actually writing the Skippy commands and issuing the Skippy commands. Are they going to work as advertised in the manual, or is that going to be another one of these things where I got to try 100 million different things to find out what works? I'm hoping that doesn't occur. I've been there before with other cheap equipment back in the early 2000s, and I really don't want to go back there. If this gets all frustrating, I might just sell this equipment and go buy Agilent. I hope it doesn't, because I don't want to waste time on that. Or if hopefully Siglent is a good company and they're going to honor the problems and issue new software firmware releases based on what I'm telling them, then I'll be very happy to work with them on that. But we'll see. I haven't talked to them yet, but that would be the next step once I find some more problems and catalog them and let them know how to reproduce them so that they can see for themselves. Anyway, of course, the supervisor is here. I almost stepped on him a couple of times trying to produce this video, but yeah, it's hard to miss him. Anyway, see you all later. You fat boy.